The doll's whisper. It was a cold, rainy evening when Rachel inherited an old porcelain doll from her late grandmother. It was strange. She didn't remember ever seeing it before, but her grandmother had insisted on giving it to her on her deathbed. The doll was beautiful, delicately crafted with dark, empty eyes that seemed to follow Rachel wherever she went. Rachel placed the doll on her bookshelf, next to her other childhood mementos. But as nightfall settled, an eerie silence enveloped the room. She sat down to read a book, trying to forget the unsettling feeling she had since receiving the doll. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed in the room, barely audible at first. "Rachel." She froze. Her heart raced. She looked around, but no one was there. She checked the windows, bolted shut. The whispering came again, this time clearer. "Rachel? Come closer." The doll. It was staring directly at her now, its head tilted, eyes locked onto hers. Rachel felt a chill run down her spine as she stood up and took a step back, but the whispering didn't stop. "Come closer, Rachel." It was coming from the doll. In a daze, she took a step toward it, her heart hammering. The doll's lips began to move, a smile forming on its porcelain face, but it was too wide, too unnatural. In the darkness, the doll whispered again, "I've been waiting for so long." The night grew colder. Rachel, unable to shake the creeping sense of dread, grabbed the doll and tossed it into the attic, locking the door behind her. She thought she could escape it, but that night, the whispers returned. This time they were louder, coming from inside her walls. The voice was the same, soft, urgent, and haunting. She lay awake, trembling in bed, staring at the ceiling. "It's just in my head," she told herself. "It's just the stress." But as she rolled over, her eyes landed on the attic door. It was slightly ajar, as though the wind had pushed it open. Fear twisted her stomach. She tried to ignore it, but her feet moved on their own accord. Slowly, she made her way to the attic, the house groaning with each step. Every instinct told her to turn back, but something drew her forward. When she opened the attic door, the doll was there, sitting on the floor, facing her, waiting. Its dark eyes gleamed, and its mouth curled into that same unnatural smile. It hadn't been there when she locked the door. Rachel's heart raced as the whispers grew louder, more desperate. She stepped into the attic, her breath caught in her throat. The air felt thick, suffocating. The doll's history, she realized, was darker than she'd ever imagined. It wasn't just a simple heirloom from her grandmother. The doll was centuries old, crafted in a forgotten village where rumors told of a cursed artifact built with the soul of a lost child. Legend said that the doll was meant to trap the spirit of a young girl who had died under mysterious circumstances, her spirit unwilling to leave the earthly realm. The girl's cries had been forever sealed inside the doll, awaiting a host to release her. Rachel shook her head, trying to push the thought out of her mind, but it felt too real. The whispers now felt like they were seeping into her bones. "You shouldn't have come back," the doll hissed, its eyes glowing with a malevolent energy. Suddenly, the room grew cold, the temperature plummeting to an impossible degree. The doll's head jerked unnaturally, its smile stretching even wider, and its body began to twitch, jerking like a puppet on broken strings. Rachel stumbled back, her legs weak with terror. The attic door slammed shut, trapping her inside. She turned to run, but before she could make it to the window, the doll was already standing, on its own 2 feet, moving with an unsettling precision. "You shouldn't have disturbed me," it whispered, its voice growing deeper, filled with malice. With a gasp, Rachel realized the whispers had stopped. "Rachel!" The voice was louder now, coming directly from the doll as it took another step forward, its cold porcelain hands reaching out toward her. The room was silent again, but the air was thick with something far more terrifying than just a doll. And in the stillness, Rachel finally understood. It wasn't just a doll she had brought into her home. It was a curse, and it would never let her go.